heck did I do? What did I just do? Hi Facebook, I don't know what I just did, but I made my screen small. So you invite friends. Okay, I can't get this screen big again. Hopefully y'all can see me because I can't really see myself. But happy Saturday. So this is day 51 of Jumpstart Your Thinking. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in because this book is really long. I want to get through that chapter. So day 51, yard by yard, life is hard, but inch by inch, it's a cinch. I love that quote. It reminds me of the compound effect. Like, so you do little activities daily consistently and they add up to big results, right? Long-term consistency beats short-term intensity. So to become a better strategic thinker, able to formulate and implement plans that will achieve the desired objective, over the next 4 days, take the following guidelines to heart. Break down the issues into smaller, more manageable parts so that you can focus on them more effectively. How you do it, whether it's by function, timetable, responsibility, purpose, or some other method, is not as important as just doing it. When Henry Ford created the assembly line, he said, "Nothing is particularly hard if you divide it into small jobs." Ask why before how. As long as you have a strong why, the how will always show up, right? Don't worry about the how. The universe can provide in so many different ways. A lot of times it's a way that you would not have even expected, right? So instead of asking how to solve a problem or plan a way to meet an objective, you should first ask why. Why do I want to do this, right? And is it good for me? Is it good for humanity? And is it good for the environment? Instead of asking how to solve a problem, ask why, right? So if you jump right into problem solving mode, how are you going to know all the issues? Asking why helps you to think about all the reasons for decisions. It helps you to open your mind to possibilities and opportunities. The size of an opportunity often determines the level of resources and effort that you must invest. Big opportunities allow for big decisions. If you jump to how too quickly, you might miss that. So write down a major objective for which you are currently planning. Next, write why questions concerning your objective. Then break it down into a smaller parts. Note any opportunities that you had not seen before. Write down a major objective for which you are currently planning. Next, write why questions concerning your objective. Then break it down into smaller parts. Note any opportunities that you had not seen before. So use the compound effect. It works. Small, consistent daily activities add up to big results. All right, chapter 8, Limitless. This is energy. How do you make sure your brain is as healthy and energized as it could be? What should I make sure to have in my diet if I want my brain to be at its strongest? How do I consistently get a good night's sleep? Without kids in the bed? Let me move this here real quick. All right. You have a clear purpose for doing something, and you've broken down the project or goal into small, simple steps. So funny, because that's just literally what Jumpstart Your Thinking was about. Did you hear me? I just finished that other book. It said about breaking into small steps. And as soon as I begin this chapter in this book, it's like, okay, so you have a clear purpose and you've broken down the project or goal into small, simple steps. Does that guarantee sustainable, limitless motivation? For example, even if you have a reason to read daily and have a plan to read for just 5 minutes a day, what can keep you from doing so is fatigue. Mental and physical vitality is the fuel needed to drive your actions. We know the importance of time management. Well, motivation is all about energy management and optimization. Here are my 10 recommendations. Hello, Dorothy. For generating limitless brain energy. For each tip, please rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how much attention you are putting into that specific area. You may be surprised by your answers. 1. A good brain diet. Resiliency expert Dr. Eva Selhub often likens the brain to a high-performance vehicle. Like an expensive car, she writes, your brain functions best when it gets only premium fuel. Eating high-quality foods that contain lots of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants nourishes the brain and protects it from oxidative stress. Ooh, I was just talking to a friend about something with oxidative stress. So the waste, free radicals produce, yes. Oxidative stress is the waste that the free radicals produce when the body uses oxygen, which can damage cells. She goes on to note that when your brain is forced to run on inferior fuel, it can't possibly do everything that it was built to do. Refined sugar, for example, contributes to impaired brain function, leads to inflammation, and can even cause depression, something you might want to consider the next time you reach for a tub of ice cream to contend with a tough day. In my podcast interviews with Dr. Lisa Mosconi, neuroscientist, integrative nutritionist, and author of Brain Food, the XX Brain, she explains why the dietary needs of the brain are different from those of other organs. The human brain requires 45 distinct nutrients to function best. While most of these nutrients are created by the brain itself, the rest are imported from our diet. Since we know for sure that there's a direct connection between a good diet and a healthy brain, it's essential that you feed your brain with the best food nature has to offer. On the page opposite, you'll see a list of my top 10 favorite brain foods. For a quick video on how to memorize this, go to limitless.com resources. Oh, I already know. I remember how to do this. I did a video on that. If you're the kind of person who hates hearing you need to eat your vegetables, employing this list might require a bit of adjustment. But there's some good news, because there's evidence to show that your brain runs very well with a little bit of dark chocolate in the mix. Remember, what you eat matters, especially for your gray matter. What are your favorite brain foods? How can you incorporate one more into your daily diet? So, top 10 brain foods. Avocados. I eat avocados every single day. They provide monosaturated fat, which helps to maintain healthy blood flow. Blueberries, I eat quite frequently. They protect your brain from oxidative stress and reduce the effects of brain aging. They have also been studies that show they can help with memory. Broccoli, eat occasionally, a great source of vitamin K, which is known to improve cognitive function and memory. Dark chocolate, my favorite. This helps your focus and concentration and stimulates endorphins. Chocolate also has flavonoids, which have been shown to improve cognitive function. The darker here, the better, as the darkest chocolate has the least sugar, and we've already talked about how sugar is something to eat sparingly. So, eggs. We eat eggs like every day. They provide memory improving and brain boosting choline. Green leafy vegetables. I usually get some salad mix in every day. These are good sources of vitamin E, which reduces the effects of brain aging, and folate, which has been shown to improve memory. Salmon, sardines, and caviar. Not so much. Salmon once in a while. They're rich in omega-3 essential fatty acids, which help reduce the effects of brain aging. Turmeric. I use it in cooking occasionally. Have not been doing so lately. Oh, but you know what? There's turmeric in my green juice. I'm pretty sure. So it helps reduce inflammation and boost antioxidant levels while also improving your Brain's oxygen intake. There's also some indication that turmeric helps reduce cognitive decay. Walnuts. I've had some walnuts in the past week. We have some here. I bought some actually. These nuts provide high levels of antioxidants and vitamin E and protect your neurons and protect against brain aging. They also contain high levels of zinc and magnesium, which are really good for your mood. And last but not least, water. Your brain is about 80% water. Dehydration can cause the brain fog, fatigue, and slower reaction and thinking speed. Studies show that well-hydrated people score better on brain power tests. Drink your water, y'all. Stay hydrated. I met Mona Sharma when she was featured on Facebook's Red Table Talk as the nutritionist for Will Smith and his family. Oh, Red Table Talk. Is that Facebook that does that with Will Smith and his family? Anyway, alongside Dr. Mark Hyman, she shared with me how the foods we eat can have a big impact on our energy and the quality of our health. No shit. Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. And the function of our brains, Hippocrates said that, by the way, focusing on key ingredients like good quality omega-3 rich fats, vegetables loaded with antioxidants and phytonutrients, and spices to enhance our digestion and focus, and can support both short and long-term brain function. Here's a sample day of some of her to-go recipes to optimize brain power and vitality. There's a morning brain toxin, gives you the whole recipe. There's a morning magic smoothie. There's a brain boost salad. I'm not going to go through all these, but easy roasted salmon broccoli with Swiss chard, cocoa cinnamon ginger hot chocolate. Sounds yummy. Brain number 2, brain nutrients. As we've discussed, diet affects brain function. But if you aren't able, because of your schedule or lifestyle, to regularly eat a rich brain food diet, research has shown that particular nutrients have a direct effect on your cognitive ability. I also prefer getting my nutrients from real, whole, organic foods. Talk to your qualified health practitioner to learn what you might be deficient in. In my podcast episode with Max Lugavere, author of Genius Foods, we discussed the benefit of supplementing with phospholipid DHA. Your brain uses this to create healthy cell membranes. This is important because our cell membranes form all the receptors involved in mood, executive functioning, attention, and memory. B vitamins have been shown to improve women's memories. Curcumin, I'm saying that wrong. How do you say that? The nutrient found in turmeric I'm probably saying turmeric wrong too. Turmeric, some people say, tomato, can forestall cognitive decay. You can get a list of nutrients and their effect on the brain from the National Institute of Health website. So there are natural sources for all of these nutrients, but getting all of them into your diet might not fit into your lifestyle or your palate. The good news is that supplements are readily available for all of these, though not all supplements are created equal, so make sure to do some research. You can also combine these with brain foods discussed in the chapter to give you your brain the fuel it needs. For a list of links to my favorite brain supplements, go to www. blah, 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 his website. Number 3, exercise. Exercise changes the brain in ways that protect memory and thinking skills, writes Heidi Goodman, the executive editor of the Harvard Health Letter. In a study done at University of British Columbia, researchers found that regular aerobic exercise, the kind that gets your heart and your sweat glands pumping, appears to boost the size of the hippocampus, the brain area involved in verbal memory and learning. So I can almost hear some of you complaining or making excuses as you read that last paragraph. Exercise is boring. You don't have time for it. You can't afford a gym membership, but the simple fact is that exercise is enormously valuable if you want to unshackle your brain. Think about it. When you're active and moving, you feel sharper, right? Some of us even need to move around in order to get our brains operating at top efficiency. That's because there's a direct correlation between exercise and brain function. And you don't need to become an Olympic athlete in order to keep your brain sharp. There's lots of evidence to show that even 10 minutes of aerobic exercise a day can have enormous benefits. As your body moves, your brain grooves. Check out a few of my favorite exercises. Set your phone alarm to remind yourself to move for a few minutes every hour. Number 4, killing ants. That's an acronym, of course. Dr. Daniel Amen, a clinical neuroscientist, author of bestseller Change Your Brain, Change Your Life, and the frequent guest of ours, came home one night after a particularly bad day at the office dealing with suicide risks, angst-ridden teens, and dysfunctional couples to find thousands of ants in his kitchen. Okay, maybe he literally does mean killing ants, but I know that he also has an acronym for the automatic negative thoughts. That's the acronym. This is the second thing I've heard this week about exercise. It's a sign. I don't know. I've been getting so many signs and synchronicities lately too, and so much more than I have over the past 2 years. And I'm learning. It's because that's how the fourth dimension works, and the fifth dimension works on synchronicities. Completely different laws than here in the third dimension. Anyway, that's information for another video. But so ants in the house. It was gross, he wrote. As I started to clean them up, the acronym came to me. Okay, here's the acronym. I thought of my patients from that day like my infested kitchen. My patients' brains were also infested by the negative thoughts that were robbing them of their joy and stealing their happiness. The next day, I brought a can of ant spray to work as a visual aid and have been working diligently ever since to help my patients eradicate their ants, their automatic negative thoughts. Ants are automatic negative thoughts, and you're like most people, you place limitations on yourself in the form of these thoughts at least sometime or another. Yeah, most people have negative self-talk that you just repeat and repeat and repeat over and over and over. And shit, you get in patterns, and you think those same thoughts, you create the same reality, and you wonder why nothing's changing. Nothing changes if nothing changes. If you don't change your thoughts, you're not changing your emotions. Your emotions don't change, your actions won't change, therefore your results won't change. It all starts with your thoughts, your mindset. So, maybe you tell yourself that you aren't smart enough to learn a skill that you'd really like to have, or perhaps you repeat on an endless loop how pushing yourself to accomplish something is only going to lead to disappointment. If you had past failures, you might think, well, why try? I'm just going to fail anyway. Ants are everywhere, automatic negative thoughts, and there isn't enough ant spray in the world to get rid of all of them. But eliminating them from your life is an essential part of unlimiting your brain. The reason for this is simple. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. I love that quote. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. If you regularly tell yourself that you can't do something, or that you're too old to do something, or that you don't have the smarts to do something, you won't do that thing, right? Because whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So only when you move from this kind of destructive self-talk can you truly accomplish what you want to accomplish. Hi, Holly. Hi, Melissa. All right, so what is the biggest ant? What is the biggest automatic negative thought? What could you replace it with? What is your biggest automatic negative thought? What's one negative thought that you play on replay all day long that you need to change? I'm not enough. You need to, I am more than enough. I'm totally worthy and deserving of all things good in my life, right? It's not only important to get rid of the negative thoughts, but you must replace them with a new thought, right? It's best to do this on a subconscious level with like neuro-linguistic programming. You can hit me up if you want a session on that. But yeah, do it on a subconscious level. But it's very important to replace the negative with the positive, right? Because if you don't replace it with something, most likely that negative thought will just come back. So, 5, a clean environment. A 2018 piece in the medical journal, The Lancet, identified that air pollution might cause 30% of all strokes, and thus might be one of the leading contributors of the global stroke burden. It went on, given the strong association between stroke, vascular risk factors, and dementia, the suggested link between air pollution and dementia is to be expected. The air you breathe is critical to the way your brain functions. If you've ever been stuck in a room with a smoker, you know how hard it can be to even think while you're breathing that toxic air. So conversely, if you're hiking in the mountains and take a deep breath of the crisp, clean atmosphere, you can feel your senses thriving. If you live in a factory town or a big city with pollutants everywhere, there isn't a lot you can do about the air around you. Fortunately, there are devices available to clean the air in your home and in your office, and you can make an increased effort to get cleaner spaces more frequently. A clean environment goes beyond air quality. Removing clutter and distractions from your surroundings will make you feel lighter and improve your ability to focus. So take time to Marie Kondo your mind and remove any unnecessary stuff. What is the one thing you can do today to clean your environment? A positive peer group. Your brain potential is not related to your biological networks or your neurological networks. It is also related, it's not just related to your biological networks or your neurological networks. It's also related to your social networks. Who you spend time with is who you become. You're the sum average of the 5 people that you are around the most. Motivational speaker Jim Rohn says that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Whether you believe that or not, I don't think any of us can disagree with the notion that people around us have meaningful influence on our lives, right? Because you pick up on their energy. So a recent Temple University study showed that people, specifically teenagers in this study, act differently when they are alone than when they do with others, because peer pressure and all the things, right? We want to be like everybody else. We're taught to like blend in instead of standing out and being our unique self. The problem with that is if we need to express our unique, authentic self to fulfill our mission and purpose here in the world. We're all unique for a reason. We all have our own shape, spiritual gifts, heart, abilities, personality, and experiences that are unique and individual to all of us so that we can share them to help other people and share our gifts with the world, right? So because of this influence, those you spend time with have a genuine effect on brain function. Certainly, they, affect your self-talk, and most of us tie at least a part of our beliefs to the belief others have about us. Yeah. David Icke was talking about this last night. If you don't have Gaia, you need to get Gaia and watch Escaping the Matrix with David Icke on Gaia, the app. It's like Netflix for the soul. It's called Escaping the Matrix. There's 13 episodes, just started in like August. It's really, really good. It explains everything about how this reality works and how we're all caught up in our stories and creating our reality. It's amazing, amazing material. Hey, Jenny. This is positive peer group. You are the sum average of the 5 people that you're around the most. So they can affect everything from what you eat to how much you exercise to even how much sleep you get. There are lots of books on how dedicated to helping you distinguish people who are good for you from people who are not. You know what's good for you, you know what's not. You should, right? Like, don't hang around people who aren't where you want to go. You want to be around people who have achieved things that you want to achieve, because success leaves clues. But for the purposes of this chapter, just take a few minutes to think about who your peers are, how much influence they have on your life, and how this affects your desire to unlimit yourself. Who are my peers? My kids. So, and you, babe, and that's it. I'm not around anybody else. Well, online, but that's about it, you know. We live in the mountains now, so there's like Rachel's over there. You know, we hang out once in a while. Hang out with the cows. Yeah. Who is someone you need to spend more time with? Reach out and make a date with that person now. Who do I need to spend more time with? Myself. That's who. So, 7, brain protection. This probably goes without saying, but protecting your brain is critical if you're going to make the most of your brain. You have only one brain. If you were given only one car to use for the rest of your life, how well would you treat that car? You would take care of it as if your life depended on it. Accidents are unavoidable, but putting yourself in situations where brain injury is less likely improves your chances of avoiding the worst. Hard contact or extreme sports are not ideal if you want to make the most of this precious asset. Driving 20 miles an hour over the speed limit all the time on your motorcycle isn't advisable either. If you love these things too much to give them up, at the very least, take as many precautions and use as many safety tools as you can. 8. New learning. One of the most important things you can do for the health of your brain is to keep learning all day, every day. We are all capable of expanding the capacities of our brains even as we get older, which we discussed when we talked about neuroplasticity in Chapter 3. What this means is that as long as we keep learning, we continue to create new pathways in our brains. Yep, you learn, you fire and wire new pathways in your brains, or new receptors that create new pathways. That's neuroplasticity in your brain. You keep our brains plastic and supple, capable of processing new information in relevant ways. This is especially true if we give ourselves genuine challenges in learning, attempting to master a new skill, to discover a new language, to embrace parts of the culture or the cultures of others that are new to you. All keep these neurons firing and creating new pathways. By increasing the ways you use your brain, you increase the capabilities of your brain. Creating an ongoing to learn list. What are some things on that list? Right down here. To learn. I just want to learn about everything. Hi, Roman King. Thanks for joining. 9. Stress management. We all experience some level of stress in our everyday lives, sometimes a great deal of stress. Whenever we experience stress, a hormone known as cortisol is released to alleviate the physical rigors of stress on our bodies. If this happens occasionally, it's not a problem, but if it happens with great regularity, the buildup of cortisol in our brains can lead to cease functioning properly. But there's more. There's evidence that chronic, persistent stress may actually rewire your brain, says a piece of Harvard Health blog. Scientists have learned that animals that experience prolonged stress have less activity in the parts of their brain that handle higher order tasks. For example, the prefrontal cortex, and more activity in the primitive parts of their brain that are focused on survival, such as the amygdala. Oh, I have notes on this. I was reading about this. It's much like what would happen if you exercised one part of your body and not the other. The part that was activated more often would become stronger, and the part that got less attention would get weaker. This is what appears to happen in the brain when it is under continuous stress. It especially builds up the part of the brain designed to handle threats, which is your fight or flight system, and the part of the brain tasked with more complex And the part of your brain tasked with more complex thoughts takes a back seat. Right? So if you're constantly activating your fight and flight stress mode, your part of your brain that's focused takes a back seat. The only thing you're focused on stress mode is surviving. So, what is your favorite thing to do to cope with stress? When was the last time you did it? What's your favorite thing to do to cope with stress? I like to just sit down in the quiet. Yeah, that too. Puff, puff, pass. 10, sleep. If you want better focus, you need to get good sleep. If you want to be a cleaner thinker, you need to get good sleep. If you want to make good decisions or have a better memory, you need to get good sleep. According to the National Institutes of Health, quality sleep and getting enough of it at night at the right times is essential to survival as food and water. Without sleep, you can't form or maintain the pathways in your brain that let you learn to create new memories, and it's harder to concentrate and respond quickly. Sleep is important to a number of brain functions, including how nerve cells, neurons, communicate with each other. It reminds me of the cells. I wanted to mention, I've just been thinking about the mirror neurons in children. I was talking about this with Raul the other day, about how this is why monkeys see, monkey do with children, because they have mirror neurons. In the first 7 years of life, they're just mimicking or repeating everything that you do. This is why you must teach and lead by example, because they're really not going by what you say, they're going by what you do. So those are mirror neurons. But these here, nerve cell neurons, they communicate with each other In fact, your brain and body stay remarkably active while you sleep. The subconscious mind is always awake. Recent findings suggest that sleep plays a housekeeping role that removes toxins in your brain that builds up while you are awake. The takeaway, getting enough sleep and getting enough quality sleep is essential if you're going to make the most of your brain. Sleep is not a choice. I know there are lots of people out there who say they don't need a lot of sleep, or they don't have time for sleep, or even consider it a point of pride that their lives are so full of activity that they have no choice but to sacrifice sleep. There's a mistake, or that's a mistake. And if you're one of these people, it's something I want you to reconsider right now. Sleep is crucial to overall health and daily functioning, writes Dr. Jean Kim, a psychiatrist and clinical assistant professor of psychiatry at George Washington University. Increasing evidence has tied lack of sleep to a host of mental and physical disorders, including increased depression, irritability, impulsivity, cardiovascular disease, and more. One study noted that sleep actually functions as a sort of laundry cycle for the brain, where during sleep, blood vessels and lymphatic channels in the brain hyperperfuse and flush out metabolic buildup from the day and remove neurotoxins and distribute components that enhance cellular repair. Okay, in his TED Talk about sleep, Dr. Jeff, whatever his name is, Iliff of Oregon Health and Science University takes the laundry cycle metaphor even further. He notes that while you're awake, the brain is so busy doing other things that it doesn't have the capacity to clean itself of waste. The buildup of this waste, amyloid beta, is now being linked to the development of Alzheimer's disease. While the brain is awake and is at its most busy, it puts off clearing away the waste from the spaces between its cells until later, and then when it goes to sleep and doesn't have to be as busy, it shifts into a kind of cleaning mode to clear away the waste from the spaces between its cells and the waste that's accumulated throughout the day. A little later in the talk, Iliff warns against doing something that so many of us do, sacrificing sleep until we get a chance to catch up. Like our housework, it's a dirty and thankless job, but it's also important. If in your house, if you stop cleaning your kitchen for a month, your home will become completely unlivable very quickly. But in the brain, the consequences of falling behind may be much greater than the embarrassment of dirty countertops, because when it comes to cleaning the brain, it's very health and function of the mind and the body that's at stake, which is why understanding these very basic housekeeping functions of the brain today may be critical for preventing and treating diseases of the mind tomorrow. So if you're one of the many people who have convicted themselves or have convinced themselves that there's a level of nobility in getting by with minimal sleep, it's time to revise your thinking. There's simply too much to gain from a good night's sleep, including what you can learn from your dreams. Getting through the night. It's one thing to say you're going to get a good night's sleep. It's another entirely to accomplish it. About a quarter of all Americans experience some level of insomnia every year. There is, however, very strong evidence connecting exercise to sleep, even among chronic insomnia sufferers. A study performed by Dr. Catherine J. Reed and others found that aerobic exercise had strong positive results on a group of participants who previously regularly encountered sleep problems. Results from this study indicate that a 16-week program of moderate intensity aerobic physical activity plus sleep hygiene education is effective in improving self-reported sleep quality, mood, and quality of life in older adults with chronic insomnia. The authors wrote, these results highlight the potential of structured physical activity programs to improve the effectiveness of standard behavioral approaches for the treatment of insomnia, particularly in sedentary older adult population. A group at Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine built upon this study by drilling down the data gleaned and then studying the interconnection between exercise and sleep. What they found is important to consider. Exercise is not a magic pill. If you're having trouble sleeping, you can't solve the problem with one session at the gym. They found that even after 2 months, the effects of exercise on sleep were minimal, but by the end of the 16-week study, the results were considerable, with participants getting as much as an hour and a quarter extra sleep per night. So there's clear connection between exercise and sleep, but you're going to need to give it time. But given the overall benefits of exercise on your health, committing to an exercise routine is always a good idea, even if you won't feel the benefits of your sleep right away. There are varying ideas about how much exercise is necessary to affect sleep, but a commonly stated amount is 2.5 hours a week of aerobic exercise, coupled with some resistance work. Brisk walking, light biking, elliptical machine, anything that increases your heart rate so that you can still talk while exercising, but have to catch your breath every few seconds or sentences or so, is considered moderate exercise. Recommends Dr. Christopher E. Klein of University of Pittsburgh. Oh, Chris Klein. I know somebody named Chris Klein. Giving your mind a break. One of the many reasons why people have trouble sleeping is not being able to get your mind to turn off. We've all been there. You have a huge meeting coming up or something disruptive, either positive or negative, happen during that day, or you got a phone call just before bedtime that got you riled up, your head hits the pillow, but you might as well be running laps around your house because your mind is busy with the inciting event. You wind up lying there for hours and sleep seems as unapproachable as Everest. Fortunately, you have a tool available to you at all times that can help you deal with this. Meditation. The benefits of meditation. A long chapter, so I'm like, gotta change my position here. The benefits of meditation are numerous, and there are many. Many books out there detail them, including everything from boosting immune function to decreasing anxiety to actually increasing your gray matter. One of those many benefits to helping with insomnia. In a study performed by Dr. David S. Black and others, a group of older adults with sleep problems were introduced to mindfulness meditation through 6 2-hour sessions. By the end of each of these sessions, this group showed meaningful improvement with insomnia. If meditation seems foreign to you, and if that's the case, you're in the vast majority, as less than 15% of Americans meditate, less than 15% of Americans meditate. It's likely because you've heard that meditation is difficult or that it requires you to completely blank your mind. Ariel Garten, creator of Muse, a headband that assists in meditation, clarifies that it isn't about emptying your mind, but rather training your mind to be aware in the present moment. She told me that you can choose any time and any place to meditate, and that you can feel the benefits from it with as little as 3 minutes spent with eyes closed, taking deep breaths, and then releasing those breaths, counting as you go. Another tool she advocates is focused attention, a super simple process of placing your attention on your breathing. When your mind wanders from your breathing, as it invariably will, just notice this and bring it back. This technique promises to demystify meditation for anyone who thinks you need to be a Zen master to get anything out of it. A few of us are capable of locking our focus on one thing for an extended period, so it's good to know refocusing is equally valuable. When you regain your attention on your breathing, Garten says you're exerting an important skill. You're learning to observe your thinking. You're not caught up in your thoughts, but you're in, hey Jen, you're in a process of observing that you're thinking. You begin to recognize that you can have control over your thoughts and that you can choose what you are thinking. That's the point of meditation, is just to become aware of your thoughts, catch them, and then switch them, right? Meditation can improve your sleep even with these simple methods. My meditation coach, Emily Fletcher is awesome, author of Stress Less, Accomplish More, has a unique process called Ziva meditation. You can watch the full video, and there's limitlessbook.com/resources. What is your top sleep tip? Write it here. What is your top, my top sleep, wait, what? My top sleep tip is the subconscious mind is always awake, so play some affirmations while you sleep. That's my top sleep tip. Before we move on, fueling your brain is fundamental to becoming limitless, and we have lots more to get in order to make this happen. But first, let's stop and focus on a few things from this chapter. Put a shopping list together for all the brain foods you don't currently have in your home. Blueberries, walnuts, salmon, dark chocolate. I realize that not all the foods are going to be compatible with your palate, but really try to include as many as you can. Then take this list with you to the store. Spend some time identifying your ants. Ants are automatic negative thoughts. What limitations are you placing on yourself? Give yourself a few minutes with this. What are you telling yourself you can't do? Write this down. Think about how you'd like to expand your learning. What have you always wanted to master that you haven't found the time to master? Is it a different language, computer coding, a new sales or marketing technique? What can you do to fit that into your life right now? Use one of the tools we talked about here to improve the amount and quality of your sleep. Keep track of this for at least a week. And then I made 2 videos for you on how easily memorize, I made 2 videos for you on how to easily memorize the top 10 brain foods. I actually made a video on that too. I can drop the link in the comments. He walks you through this thing. You're going through a building, and it reminds you of what the top brain food, the 10 things are that you can do for your brain to keep it working optimally. So I'll post a link for that in the comments. And then this is done, right? Tomorrow is chapter 9, Small Simple Steps, which is so crazy because that's what Jumpstart Your Thinking was literally about today. Small simple steps. So we first make our habits, and then our habits make us. Change your thoughts to change your emotions, to change your habits, to change your life. Truth, love, and light. Bye, guys. Good night. I might be back on. I'm not sure.